Come on in, guys. We're getting fired up to talk to Dr. Miguel Burnier, the president of the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology, or the PAAO. Dr. Burnier is here at the APAO as part of the proceedings, and he's talking today with me about synergies in ophthalmic education between Asia Pacific and the Americas. Incredibly important topic. Let's listen in. Dr. Burnier, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening to you. Good evening, good morning and good afternoon to everyone listening to us.
Dr. Burnier, just tell us a little bit about where you're based currently.
Okay, I'm a professor at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. I'm a professor of ophthalmology, pathology, and oncology. I'm the director of the training program at the Research Institute at our McGill University Health Center. I'm double board in pathology and ophthalmology. And I was born in São Paulo, Brazil, and my training was done in Federal University of São Paulo, as well as the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology and National Eye Institute in Bethesda, Maryland.
I think it's fitting that you are from South America, but you're currently based in Canada. In other words, you're bringing the world of ophthalmology together in the Americas. Now, could you tell us a little bit about ophthalmology in the Americas outside of the United States, which is normally what we hear about?
Ophthalmology, and particularly in South America, it's very strong due to the several programs of the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology, several Latin American and South American ophthalmologists train in the United States, and vice versa. You know, we have some diseases that are more common in one hemisphere than the others. Therefore, the experiences are different, and the exchange of experiences are very, very important. The Pan American Association of Ophthalmology was founded in 1939 by 3 individuals, 2 Americans and 1 Brazilian. 3 of them found the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology with the great objective of providing information, education, and exchange experiences in all the Americas. And I think that was absolutely crucial for the integration of the Americas.
Now, around this time of the Asia Pacific Academy of Ophthalmology, many from the West do in fact think about it like Asia Pacific, as if it's one region. But of course, we know there are many countries involved, many of which are distinct. I would imagine the same thing is true for Latin America, this group that we kind of put into one bin, but each country is kind of distinct. So could you speak to some of the differences in ophthalmology between the various countries down there as well?
Yes, great question. And I think we're absolutely right. Like you in the Asian Pacific Academy of Ophthalmology, us, the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology, deal with over 20 countries. They are very different. What do they have in common? There are basically 4 languages, which is English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. Canada is the French and English. And of course, you end up speaking Portuguese and Spanish. If you have my background, my wife is half Argentinian, then as you have a wife that's half Argentinian, you must speak Spanish. Whatever my wife tells me to do, of course, I'll say yes. Anyway, then language is important, but more than language, there are differences. When we say we're all in the same society, that is true, respecting the differences. This is absolutely crucial. And the difference are cultural. The difference are the way ophthalmology is inserted in the healthcare system in that particular country. But another thing we have in common that in my opinion is fantastic is education. The American Association of Ophthalmology was established to provide one of the best educational programs in the world, and we're proud to do that.
Now, I'm very curious about our regions respectively in working together. How would you say that our ophthalmic communities from Asia Pacific and the Americas could come together better to enhance education and share knowledge in this time and even beyond?
This is absolutely crucial. And I think you mentioned one of the areas that we really should get involved together because that facilitates communication, which is education. I would like very much to see coexisting programs between Asian Pacific Academy of Ophthalmology and the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology. When I say I would like very much, let me tell you that I don't like is going to happen 2023. Our Congress is in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We're going to have a program with the Asian Pacific Academy of Ophthalmology. And I think the more we put together our educational skills, the more we open opportunities for people to talk to each other. The Young Ophthalmologist program is absolutely crucial for this too. If you put the young ophthalmologists from the Asian Pacific with the Pan-American, this is going to be like fire. And I know them, and the young people like you are very, very, very much enthusiastic about those things, and they run very fast, and they would put together things for us. Third thing is research. I think the more we put our efforts in research, combined programs, remember, we can do research via internet. We can discuss projects via internet. I think education, young ophthalmologists, opportunities, and research are the 3 points where from now on, we're going to be doing together. By the way, starting right now, I'm talking to you today, I'm giving a Pan-American symposium with Paulo Dantas in the Asian Pacific Congress, and vice versa, Asian Pacific is coming to Buenos Aires.
You know, that's fantastic. As you mentioned, this special time for the PAAO, participating in the APAO. What are your sessions all about this time around?
We're going to have a session about external diseases, and we're going to bring what happens in North America and in South America in terms of those diseases in cornea, in eyelids. I think this is important because, as I mentioned, there are some diseases that are more frequently seen in North America than in other areas. Of course, there are diseases that are more frequently seen in the Asian Pacific region than in South America or North America. That's number one. Number two, because we have programs that are well established in North America and South America that perhaps are different than the programs that are well established in the Asian Pacific region, we can exchange information and exchange experiences. And then there's a fourth thing that's happening to me, and I hope it's going to happen to a lot of other people, which is consultation. Very often, individuals, ophthalmologists from your region consult with me in ocular pathology cases. And then that's another form of collaboration. And by the way, everything we're doing has one objective at the end of the day, the patient. All I do from education, research, patient care is about the patient. We do not do research as an intellectual exercise. We do research because there is a patient at the end of the day. Then if it benefits our patients, we're all in favor.
You know, as far as one of the issues that just comes to mind that I'd like to ask you about. The myopia epidemic is upon us in Asia Pacific, and there's a real drive now to manage that better, along with other topics that we're aware of, including dry eye. There's also a drive in some parts of Asia Pacific, I would say, to bring optometrists and ophthalmologists together with more unity in order to tackle a massive problem like this. Now, in certain countries around the world, optometrists and ophthalmologists are closer. In other countries, there's more of a divide. What do you think is the right answer in terms of these communities and whether they should be coming together to overcome issues like a myopia epidemic?
You mentioned well myopia, you mentioned well dry eyes. There's several other diseases, and I'm going to give you my experience in North America, and I'm going to be very candid to tell you what happens in other countries. In our organization, the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology. In North America, ophthalmologists and optometrists work very close related. This is called the eye care health system, like in many of your countries. And I think, in my opinion, this is extremely important because at the end of the day, we want to provide the best eye care to our patients. If you provide competent eye care that benefits the patients at the end of the day, I'm totally for. You're absolutely right. In certain countries, for example, in South America, optometrists either are not still a legal profession, they are not involved with the ophthalmologists the way they are in other countries. I think we have to, again, respect each of the countries and the number of ophthalmologists and the idiosyncrasies that happens in those particular environments. However, in my experience, the closer the healthcare system provides healthcare to the patients, the better. And if there's two types of training, like ophthalmologists and optometrists, that I think it's a very good model to provide that particular service.
The thing that repeats that I find is that doctors are always happy with virtual education for the most part. I mean, within reason. In other words, the symposiums go on without a hitch and in more places because of the virtual environment. On the other hand, industry has not benefited as much because you can't come in and have those physical handshakes anymore. So I wonder how, as we drive to the future of virtual meetings, industry will feel as supported as they have at physical meetings, whether that's possible. What do you think?
I'm going to divide the answer in three different parts. The first
Yeah.
part is seeing people. If you ask me what I remember for the countries that I have been in the honor of being visiting professor or participating in events, I would remember people. Having said that, that's not the time to do it. Then we have to do what we can do. I think the hybrid part of our congresses will be staying for the future. We're going to have people seeing each other, and I hope to come to the American Academy of Ophthalmology in November and see my friends. At the same time, that disseminate your lectures in their virtual form to everybody. Third part of the question is industry. They not only understand, but they support us in a great way. And they see our efforts to create as much as we can virtual realities in congresses. For example, we can now walk into a booth, an industry booth, virtually. Or is that exactly the same thing? Perhaps it's not today, but we're going to get used to those things. We're adjusting very well. Then what I see in the future is hybrid forms of meetings, where industry is going to be taking advantage of the presential part of the meeting, of course, and I want that to happen. But also, why not continue to do the hybrid or the virtual part of the meeting? Because also you can take advantage of that.
Yeah.
A person from Vietnam would not have usually the opportunity to come to Buenos Aires, Argentina. But if he or she can participate in the Congress, giving lectures, receiving information, and also walking through industry booth in the Congress and have negotiations, have business, why not? That's the way to do it.
You're right. When there are those physical meetings, at that point, the virtual environment for meetings is only going to enhance awareness, right? It won't detract from it. So maybe we just need to get our timing right, so to speak, and allow the virtual environments to enhance those physical meetings eventually.
I'm just going to take from you this last concept, enhance instead of detracting. And of course, tell everybody that I invented, of course. Take the credit for me. But that's a great way to say it. I think the hybrid does not compete, the virtual does not compete with presential, actually does not take anything out of presential, enhance the presential experience. Remember, I can do virtual from wherever I am. Then if I am at the Congress, I can talk to someone in Australia, in New Zealand, in Vietnam, virtually. You're absolutely right. Enhances the experience.
Well, Dr. Burnier, thank you so much for joining us today for this refreshing talk about the Americas for Asia Pacific and vice versa. We're so pleased to have had you here today.
I'm delighted to meet you. I was delighted for this wonderful interview. I think it was extremely pleasant, and it's great to see you guys. I'd like to thank Tiffany Poracho, my right hand, left hand, that has done a phenomenal job throughout my life, and she is great with me. And thank you for a very nice interview and very entertaining comments and wonderful exchange of ideas.